Welcome to the Soccer Podcast, where we talk soccer in Delaware, soccer in the rest of the world, and everything in between. My name is Sebastian, and this week I'm joined here by Dwayne. What's up? Wait, hold on,
Yo,
hold
what's
on.
up?
Wait. Yeah.
Oh, my flag got confiscated yesterday.
What?
Yeah. So,
Where did you have a flag?
so I'm on the train, right, heading to the World Cup, Curacao
Yeah.
versus Ivory Coast.
Yep.
But not Bosnia. Curacao fans deep on the train, man. It was sweaty, it was hot. Guy has a flag. I'm like, oh, let me get one of those. Cool. It's a fake flag, by the way. It's made out of paper and a
Oh
stick.
yeah. Wait, I saw that. Your Curacao flag. Yeah.
My Curacao
I did
flag.
see.
So we went to go through security. They waved me down and were like, "Yo, you can take the flag in, but you
But not
can't
the
take the
stick.
stick in." I was like, "Bro, you could just take the whole thing." So I was like, "This is just a piece of paper. What am I gonna walk around with a piece of paper like this?" And I was already wearing orange. You already know with the allegiance line.
Yeah, I knew. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, my allegiance changed. So I had these two Ivory Coast fans sitting next to me. So in the two goals, I took my hat off and started dancing with them. So I was good
You
for
switched
this.
up. You
The
switched up when
second
the
the
goal
second
started going in.
goal the second goal because I also had the Ecuador game on my phone. So he kept like looking over and was like, "Hey, like, what's the score? How's it going?" And so
Buddy was invested.
yeah, so him and I became friends. So basically the with the second goal, he came like he started cheering. I took my hat off and then stood right next to him again. And I was like, "Yo, how does the dance go?" And he started showing me how the dance went. So I started. So I went. So him and I became friends. So yeah, shout out to that guy that sat
So
up in the.
you're an elephant man now, huh?
No. Still Curacao. Only if I believe me, if Curacao had scored, I was going to be cheering with them too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, 100%. I mean, yo, they had the supporters section on lock. In
yeah,
one
they
end
was it
zone.
was awesome. As far as like in comparison, yeah, the two in comparison to the two things, I do think it's interesting. Brittany found this video from this guy that said that he felt like the energy was super low in comparison to other games in the area that he went to, which I don't disagree. I think if you go back to the first half of the game, the moment the whistle blew and the game started, like 3 minutes in, there was silence in the entire stadium.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is like I feel like Curacao, obviously, their delegation was in the end zone, right?
Yeah,
Ivory Coast,
was
their
all over.
delegation, well, they were all over, but the
The-
people with like the drums and stuff were in the second level. Like
yeah,
I don't know if you saw them. They were in the end zone, but they were on the second
yeah.
level. So like traditionally, if you went to a Club World Cup game in Philly last year, where were
Oh yeah,
the two groups
that
were
city
in the
game.
opposite end zones, right?
Yeah,
Like the city game, like it was just like the city game, right? The city game, there was no city fans. There's just people there to watch City play.
yeah. But then
But
the Widad.
Al Widad was deep in the end
Yeah,
zone and it was lit over there. So I think like Ivory Coast, like if they had all been in one place, because like there's guys yelling stuff in French and I don't know what he was saying.
yeah.
He was yelling. He was coaching from the sidelines over here.
No, it was
But
it
I
was
think
a
if you would put, if everybody was in the end zones, which I mean, obviously it's where you buy your tickets, when you buy your tickets, FIFA
yeah.
thing.
No, it was a lot of fun. I genuinely enjoyed it. I actually have a list of things. So I have my list of I have 5 do's and 5 don'ts of the World Cup for fans. So I'm gonna read that list to you, and we're gonna talk about it here in a second. But let's do a quick like World Cup recap of what happens and what's happening. So some things have already been finalized as far as like who plays who, or who plays whom. I don't know.
Some people
Uh,
won't know who they're playing for like another
so
like week.
yeah,
Play for another
but
week.
but here are the two things that I think are really really interesting. One, when you run your mouth, karma comes back and bites you. Right.
Who was
So
running their mouth?
I believe Jesse Marsh runs his mouth too much, and
Oh,
all of a sudden, Jesse Marsh is playing on Sunday with 3 days rest instead of like a week rest that everybody else is getting. So let that be a lesson to good old Jesse Marsh. Stop running your mouth, thinking you're. I mean, don't get me wrong. Fantastic. Canada won their first World Cup game ever. That's awesome and amazing. But you try to get into a fight with Lopetegui after the game. Granted, I understand your player was hurt and injured and everything else, and it's unfortunate for Kone that happened. But at the same time, I don't think it was a red card foul. I think it was unfortunate situation, and it's unfortunate foul, and unfortunate that the player got hurt. But just because a player gets hurt doesn't mean that it's an automatic red card. Second of you all of a sudden became Mr. Canada. I'm surprised he
Yeah,
hasn't.
Mr. Canada.
I'm surprised he hasn't come out with like moose ears and like flannel on, drinking maple syrup during the game when he's sitting on the bench. Like all of a sudden, and so now you lost, and now you got to go play on Sunday.
Canada is hosting knockout round games, right?
Yeah, but not.
Pathway.
But yeah,
they
but
have
yeah.
a similar pathway to like what Mexico did.
So if Canada had won, their game, Canada would have played on Wednesday in Canada. But
now they got to come to the States.
Now they got to go play in LA on Sunday, against South Africa, which I think will be a good game. Honestly, like
South Africa, man, didn't they won the group, right?
South Africa did not. No,
they got second place.
They got second place. Yeah. Because
they put on they didn't
because they're in the same group as Mexico.
Africa.
What?
I said, they beat South Korea, right? So people weren't expecting that result. They were expecting it to be Mexico, South Korea.
Yeah. And then yesterday, I thought Pochettino had an interesting moment. Hold on.
Does this man wear the same thing every game?
He does.
Like he's about to go fishing.
He does. Yeah. But I mean, look at Julian Nagelsmann, right? He's wearing the same black T-shirt with whatever words are on the back of it. Neither, like, this is a new world of coaches. Not everyone's gonna be Carlo Ancelotti in a 3-piece suit.
There's a difference between wearing a T-shirt, an Adidas T-shirt, right, and that specific Columbia Sportswear pro fishing gear shirt, right? Like,
no, I don't think. I think it's more of a. It definitely looks that way, but I don't think that's what it is. But it's also he's only got like 3 buttons on it, like actually buttoned up. It's like half on, half off.
It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen someone coach.
The first game, he had his glasses like in the pocket.
He had to be able to see.
No, yeah, but he had the glasses in his pocket, in his little pocket square he had.
I'm just waiting for this guy to pull out a fishing rod and just cast the line.
He borrows Bielsa's cooler and just sits on the little cooler and starts. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so last night, obviously the U.S. lost to Turkey, but what I thought was interesting was his post-game conference. How he said all of you should come in and you should be saying congratulations for winning the group, yet you're sitting here complaining about the fact that we lost. Everyone else
easy conversation to have, though.
Paraguay is out here cheering. Australia tied their game. We beat Australia. They're cheering, and everyone's happy, and everyone's saying congratulations to their coach for making it through. We won our group, and no one says congratulations. I do think there's an element of putting things into perspective. You go out and beat Paraguay 4-1 in the first game. Great, fantastic. You didn't win the World Cup. That doesn't automatically make you the best team in the entire world, right?
No.
I think, the Alfaro, the Paraguay coach, made a really good point last night in his press conference, because I think people were questioning the fact that he was going for a tie against Australia. And he said, yeah, a tie put us through. If we lost, we were out. He said, I also know the limitations of my team. He goes, Turkey has 2 players that by themselves are worth more than the entire Paraguay national team. As far as whatever value is worth, right? As far as financial value is worth. So when you look at it from that perspective, and Arda Güler.
Yeah. He was the king of nutmegs over there.
He was cooking.
Was sniping them boys.
Yeah. But so when you look at it from that perspective, you're like, all right, well, so a draw isn't. So sometimes we have to put things into perspective. Somebody's biggest accomplishment in a World Cup might just be to score a goal. Not even win a game, just score a goal or tie a game. I mean, look at Cabo Verde, right? So this does bring me to my discussion for today. And before we do the player of the match, we have an interview later, which we're putting in at the end. We have an interview that we just did with Dan Rigby from Win Day Planner. So make sure you catch it at the end. But here's my list of World Cup fans' do's and don'ts, because yesterday I was paying attention not only to the game but what was going on around me. So, do you want the do's or do you want the don'ts first?
Let's hear the don'ts.
The don'ts. All right, these are not in any particular order. Don't be offended if any of these strike a nerve with you.
Oh, the first one's going to strike a nerve.
But don't be offended if any of them. If
the first one's going to strike a nerve. Shout out to that team you used to coach that you couldn't play at 1:00 on a Sunday, or the parents weren't bringing their kids.
Oh yeah. So my number. These are not necessarily in a particular order. I feel like we can put them in order after I give them to you. Right. So number one, and these are all things that I've saw yesterday. Number one, do not show up to a World Cup game with an Eagles shirt on, or for that matter, don't show up to a World Cup game with an American football shirt on. Like, either show up with a random shirt that just says, again, Julian Nagelsmann style, black shirt, or show up Pochettino style, going fishing, or whatever it is, but don't show up with an American football shirt on. So that's my first one. I saw 3 people or 4 people with Eagles shirts on, and go Birds, whatever, all that stuff. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says.
They have the drum line out there, my guy. For the hydration.
That's fine. That's fine. Whatever. That's a Lincoln Financial. I'm surprised the Eagles fight song didn't get played. I've been to multiple concerts now in Philadelphia where I went to watch Linkin Park, and the opening of Linkin Park was the Philadelphia Eagles mascot running into the thing, doing the Eagles fight song before the band came out. That's what introduced the band. So I get all that. I get the Philly fandom. I get all that. But
I don't. I ain't a Philly fan.
I know you're not, but do not show up to a World Cup match wearing an American football shirt. Like, if you can't afford a shirt, if you can't afford a soccer jersey, no problem, not a problem. Show up with a random t-shirt.
Wear an orange polo shirt like I did.
Or just wear an orange shirt like you did, right? Show up with colors that make sense or don't make sense or don't. Like, I saw so many messy jerseys yesterday. Whatever.
I think people think that's the only player that plays soccer.
Whatever. I saw Ronaldo jerseys. Don't worry. Whatever. Just don't show up with an American football one. I think you look ridiculous. You look like you don't belong there.
Unless the team is wearing green.
It's still. No, I'm good. Find a different green shirt. Turn it inside out. All right, number 2. Don't think you're the only person in the stadium.
No, that's anywhere.
Meaning,
people think they're the only person.
Meaning. So I was sitting in a section where I was right next to the stairs, and where the stairs ended up, there was 2 rows at the same level as the stairs, and there was one, and then everything else was going up, right? So I was sitting right there, similar actually to our Philadelphia Union seats, where if people stood by the railing, you couldn't see, but they were like, oh, this is a great shot. Mind you, there are 1,000 people behind you because you wanted to stand there. I had somebody sat there and recorded the entire opening ceremony from that little corner by the stairs, meaning I now had to stand up and look over that person from my seat to be able to see the other country's flag because we were in the corner. No, don't. Go sit at your seat and record everything for the gram or for your followers or for whatever it is that you're doing.
You know what? Let's see where you sat. No Zoom. Where'd you sit? Oh, you all the way up in the nosebleeds.
Guess you're not influencing enough. Yeah, that's what. Go influence from up there. Like, that's ridiculous. I think that's silly. Do you like
flex?
Not only that, there was people that got up there and were like, "Oh, look at where I am. Let me just stand there and watch the game from here." No, like go sit in the seat. That was absolutely ridiculous. I was so frustrated with that.
All this money to sit in the seat, sit there.
Yes, go sit in your seat or go sit somewhere. I don't care where you go. Watch it at home. Don't care. Just don't sit. Don't stand right there blocking. And then when somebody tells you to move, now mind you, there was some choice words, not by me, but by others behind me. Some choice words to how they should be moving. And then you have the audacity to look back and look angry at the fact that somebody told you to move. Like,
well, you also alluded to the fact that we were in Philly, so those words were going to come out.
No, for sure. But just, goodness. All right, number 3. Again, these are not in any particular order. Number 3, don't do in the World Cup as a fan. Do not go buy French fries in the middle of the half.
Why not?
Ugh.
I mean, if we're at
This is not.
Union Stadium,
This
they
is
got some
not.
good French fries at the
That's fine.
cheesesteak
That's
place, too.
fine. That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. In the World Cup, that happens once every 4 years. Once every 4 years, and once every now 32 years in this country. Do not, in the middle of the half, go buy French fries. If you got to go pee, whatever. Should have held it, whatever. Like,
People don't know.
if you have little kids, and they got to go to the bathroom, I have little kids, no problem whatsoever. Whatever. But if all of a sudden you didn't get hungry 20 minutes into the game, like you didn't get hungry 20 minutes into the game,
you knew you were hungry.
You knew you were hungry. You're not a child. This is so frustrating.
I mean, there could have been some people that weren't from America, like, yo, these fries are right.
No, because I guarantee you that people that were not from America, not from the United States, were sitting there watching the game. Because that's what you're supposed to do.
These Americans.
All right, number 4. Okay. If you don't want to be there, guess what? Don't be there. We had people, somebody left 65 minutes into the game.
Wow, beat traffic?
Who knows? If you are at the World Cup, if you don't want to be there, give your ticket to somebody else, sell it to somebody else for face value or less than face value, because clearly you didn't appreciate this. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. Like, don't.
Oh. Leave the 65th minute. Beat traffic.
I don't know, man. But
it was a good game too.
Don't be miserable. Don't sit there and be like, I don't want to be here. Then go home. Like, you know how many people wanted to be at that game and couldn't afford to be there? Like, and you're sitting there complaining? So frustrating. All right, and this one, you're not going to like this one. Don't leave your trash at your seats. There are trash cans. Take them and put them in your trash can.
I didn't leave any trash. I took my cups with me.
You took those cups, but you've done that somewhere else.
Took my cups with me.
Yeah.
Hey, because they got the Michelob Ultra with the game on them.
They do.
Some that had the game on them.
Oh no, I got the Coca-Cola. I got the Coca-Cola one that has a game on it.
I got the Michelob ones.
The Coca-Cola one actually says the match number, like match 54 out of 109.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I sold one of my cups for $20.
What? To who? To who?
Man, who do you think would buy one of those cups for $20?
I don't know.
To coach in Delaware.
Just sold to Kyle.
Said, yo, anybody want a cup? Michelob Ultra World Cup. I mean, listen, the Club World Cup cups are quality.
Like, we still use them at home. Yeah, I use them.
Yeah, I was about to say still use to this day. So like,
I don't know that I don't particularly. I didn't want the Michelob Ultra ones necessarily. I might have. I think my dad had 2 of them, so we might take one. But I wanted the Coca-Cola one. That one I liked. I thought that was a cool one.
I need to get a set of 4, so I get one to Kyle and
nice.
Got 4 other ones.
Nice.
And then Hillary got the Casamigos ones.
Wait, sell a set of 4. What do you like when people come over? You bring those out?
Bust those out, man. Loyalty.
That's funny.
Well, I should have thought about it. I should have got the 6, and I could have had we could play some beer pong.
Goodness. All right.
Now I gotta go back to the World Cup.
Yeah, I gotta go back to the World Cup, but it'll be a different game, so they won't match.
Well,
get 6 different ones. All right, so that's number 5, because people have to walk over your trash. So just grab it on your way out and just throw it in the trash. Take a page out of the
Japanese do.
Yeah, that's exactly. Take a page out of the Japanese fans. All right. All right. So here's so where do you think? So do you think these are ranked properly? Do you think we need to move anything up or down?
Oh no, man, I disagree with some of those. I'm gonna let you.
What do you disagree with?
I don't know, man. The French fry thing, man. You might get hungry.
No. Again, Philadelphia Union game, no problem. World Cup,
I mean, in a world where TSA has to put out a message that says your ranch has to go in your checked baggage.
I saw that.
I mean, people are enjoying their French fries.
That's fine, but go enjoy them before the game.
They're unhealthy. French fries.
Go enjoy them before the game. Go enjoy them before the game. Go enjoy them at halftime. Enjoy them after the game. I think most things were closed, but
No, they close around the 75th minute.
Yeah. Ah, so frustrating.
It's a good time in the middle of the first half because you beat the halftime rush, the pregame rush.
Yeah, take the hydration break and go get yourself a. See, I wouldn't have minded if people used the hydration break to do that.
3 minutes.
Where I was sitting, there was you could have walked 10 steps down, and gotten yourself some French fries and been back by the
Okay.
time we were done singing Bon Jovi. Um. All right. Here's my dues list. All right. Cheer and be loud. I think that's one thing that probably needed more. It needed more atmosphere at times in the games. I've been to
Tough language to cheer in.
just cheer, just be like just yell.
French and Dutch are two languages.
Listen, we went to two Club World Cup games last year. We went to a Copa America game last year. We went to Gold Cup games here before. Like, be louder and have more of a yeah. Just like I'm all for watching the games. You've sat next to me multiple soccer games at this point. You know I don't. You normally say or do. I just watch the game. But I think in that atmosphere, cheer, be loud, which leads me to the second one. Enjoy the moment. There are so many cool things that are happening in that area, in that fan fest, that I was overwhelmed and also really excited about because the Club World Cup did not have any of this. The Copa America did not have any of this. This was an entire different element and beast on its own.
Like once you got in, it was like
it was a different world. Yeah, there was so much. It actually the only other time I felt like this was the similar concept was when I went to a Real Salt Lake game. I went to a Real Salt Lake game in Salt Lake City, and it's that same concept. All the activations and everything else happens when you go inside of the stadium.
You got to pay to get in.
So yeah, once they scan your ticket, then you're opened up to the food carts and all that stuff. But yeah, so it was really really cool. So yeah, enjoy the moment. Again, you might only be there once in your lifetime, and so be there, enjoy it, have fun. Number 3, find the pride in someone else's pride. I think that's to me is a really cool moment because even though you might not be from their country, enjoy it for what it is, right? There are people, again, the concept of watching their national team. I'm one of those people that moved away from my country a long time ago, and there's a level of excitement anytime I get to watch Argentina play anywhere. And I've gotten to do that a couple times. I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that. And there's a level of excitement and pridefulness for that. But I think it's not that it's easy, but it's sometimes when you go watch an Argentina game, there are going to be Argentina fans, right? So my moment with the Ivory Coast fans that were sitting next to me and enjoying it, I was happy for them because their team scored a goal and they got to move out of the group stage for the first time in their World Cup history, right? Like, those are the moments. Like, enjoy that moment. I think it goes back to the don't wear an Eagle shirt on for that, right? Like, enjoy
wear an elephant shirt.
Yeah, enjoy it. Just have fun with it. I think, again, find the pride in someone else's pride. Buy some gear. Not because I want to fill FIFA's pockets with money, but support it, right? Like, rock I got a Curacao hat. And it's now after today, it'll go back on the shelf behind me and it'll always be there because it's always going to be a memory that I had from that moment with my wife, with my mom, with my dad at a World Cup game. It'll always remind me of that. I'm not necessarily going to walk around wearing a Curacao hat all the time because mostly I just don't want to get it sweaty. I wanted to keep it in my little shelf of random soccer stuff behind me. But I think that's ultimately what it's about, right? Like, buy some gear. If you're not a fan, or this is your first time being exposed to it, like, get yourself some gear, swag out, all right. And number 5, my dues list, learn the game ahead of time. If you have never seen a soccer game, if you've never watched a soccer game, if you just realize now that the soccer game is played by, or football is played by kicking the ball on the other team's net, learn the game ahead of time. Your first time to learning soccer should not be at a World Cup game.
Yo, go to a union game, warm up.
No. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying if date number 2 with you and the significant other that you have now just started dating is a World Cup game, learn the game before you go. You got at least 30 to 45 minutes, if not more, of preparation by the time before where you leave wherever you live to the game. You definitely got some time. There's gonna be some traffic. Get on your phone, find a
Get a
YouTube
book.
video, get a book, get anything. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, whatever. Like,
I was asked if I knew my significant other prior to the game.
wait, what?
Somebody on the train asked me if I knew my significant other prior to the game.
What? What do you mean if
I
you
said,
knew?
no, we just met.
Oh my God! See,
Decided
this
to go
is
to the World Cup.
no. This is your. That's you have a different problem that needs to be fixed. You got issues.
So we just
Because
met.
no,
We got a World Cup trip out
your
of it.
significant other enjoys the game and she shows up. So no, be happy for that. Again, enjoy that moment.
She was out there booing yesterday.
Huh?
She was out there booing the hydration break yesterday.
With everybody else, I was surprised. I was like, why are people booing? But yeah, so learn the game ahead of time, right? Just a quick video. I'm sure there's a 10-minute basic soccer rules. I actually liked it. We were there early enough. I got to sit in my seats early enough where the FIFA has a video of the new rules. Here are the new rules in a fun, creative way, an interactive way for you to look at. What should you do, and or what are the new rules that they did? So, for example, do not cover your mouth while you try to talk to another player. You will get red carded, aka Almiron, red carded.
Well, Miguel.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but I don't know. Just this shouldn't be the first time you're exposed to the game. It shouldn't be. Come on,
Or
it's the
they should create a newbie section, and if you're a newbie, go sit in this section.
there's a little newbie leader that shows up and
Yeah.
gives you a little orientation on how on soccer 101.
Guy wears his pants like Urkel, polo shirt. One of those sticks with a sign.
If you're new to soccer, follow me.
Here.
He has a little backpack with a little hydration on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Make
So,
sure you're properly hydrated before sitting down.
But yeah, so that's my list of do's and don'ts for the World Cup. If you are going to attending any of the World Cup games, yeah, maybe you don't like him, maybe you don't. But
Well, if you're attending any of the future World Cup games, you must have some money.
yeah, exactly, or connections.
Or know people.
Yeah. Also, by the way, if you're one of these so-called influencers, or you have some sort of Instagram following that you feel like you have that people are watching, again, like before the game, after the game, go nuts. Don't be taking Instagram selfies for the gram or have somebody else take it and have to take it for 45
Was it a Curacao fan?
There was a couple of those, yeah.
I wonder if it's the same girl that we were riding the train with. She was all over the train station, like selfie pictures. I was like, dude.
She was with her dad, I think.
Yeah.
Dad had a blue shirt, but it said something else. I didn't say Curacao.
Didn't say anything about Curacao.
No.
Might have been the same person.
Oh goodness, great, fantastic. Watch we find out she's like Curaçao's like biggest influencer. She's got 4
Shout
million.
out to Curacao. Shout out to Curaçao's fan that rode the train from Claymont.
There you go. Perfect. All right, Dwayne. Player of the match.
Player of the match, Nicholas Pepe.
He actually got the player of the match.
I mean, did you pull out your phone and vote for him?
No, I didn't pull out my phone. No.
Shout out to him, man. Kind of forgot about him, right? Didn't he get like a lot of money to go to Arsenal, right? Like a couple years ago.
And then he
like quite a while ago, and then he didn't end up being much. And I think he's going to be one of those players that was better for his country than he was for his club.
Yeah.
Like a Shaqiri.
Yeah.
Like Shaqiri was like anytime the World Cup Euros were around, Shaqiri was the man.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you go see him play for the Chicago Fire.
All right, my player of the match is going out to EG Collectibles. So EG Collectibles.
All right, my fault. That sounded like a name at first. I was like, who?
No. EG Collectibles is a trading card store here in Bear, Delaware. And they did a World Cup Panini like trading event where people just came out and like, so we traded stickers with one of the owners So shout out to EG Collectibles. Go give them a like, a follow on Instagram at EG_collectibles on Instagram. They're cool. They're cool guys. They got the game ons. They got the games on. We as we were watching it, we were watching actually the Morocco, one of the Morocco games. So we got to watch that. So it was fun. So yeah, so make sure you hit them up. All right, on this day in soccer history. June 26, 1992.
This was before OJ.
Yes. It's BOJ or AOJ.
Yeah, BOJ or AOJ. That's how we referred to the World Cup. Actually, it wasn't even a World Cup year.
It wasn't. But what it was,
Olympics.
it was a Euros. No, Euros.
Dream Team.
Euros year. So Euros 1992 final. It's Germany against Denmark. June 26, 1992.
Is this when they got rid of the back pass?
Maybe, I don't know. But
is this the Euros where they had the back pass where they kept passing them out to the keeper and they kept picking it up?
I think the 94 World Cup was the first when they changed it, so maybe, yeah.
Okay.
So Denmark beats Germany in the 1992 Euros. So what makes this Euros really, really interesting is Denmark didn't actually qualify to the Euros that year. But after Yugoslavia was disqualified because of all the Balkan conflict that was going on, Yugoslavia was disqualified. So they pulled up Denmark. Now Denmark again hadn't qualified for the tournament, so a lot of their players had already gone on vacation. They were out for the summer, and then so they ended up having to call them back, and yeah, they won.
Boys, let's go! We got to go. We got a game.
2-0. So shout out to the Denmark national team.
Yeah, Yugoslavia would have been, if there was still a country, probably one of the best countries in the Europe.
As far as like talent was concerned, yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. There's some hoopers and there's former Yugoslav countries.
Well, and not only that, yeah, you have, and now they all kind of got. It's one of those things when you split up a super team into like now every team has 3 good players. But if you were to pull every one of the,
like, and now it's just a matter of what year they're. I mean, like Croatia is a former country of Yugoslavia, right? Like they made 2 World Cup or they made a final and a semifinal.
Yeah.
Like now look at Bosnia, like a bunch of those teams.
Serbia.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The Dan Simmons Fair Play of the Week. Mine is going to go out to the ball kids. So fun moment at the end. Fun moment at the end of the game when we were walking out. We actually walked out right in front of all the ball kids. So the ball kids.
Oh, I thought you said the Balkans. I was like,
no, the ball kids. There was like 10 of them that are responsible for putting the balls back in the little cones where the players can pick them up from in the game. But really, really cool because they get a backpack. Obviously, they get the gear, they get the shirt and the jersey and the shorts. They get a backpack. They get cleats that they have to wear during the game. They get those like pink cleats that everyone's wearing. They also, their backpack has a Coca-Cola logo and it says the World Cup logo on it. So it's a cool Adidas backpack. But then they put them on a bus. They put them on a charter bus. And then I don't know where they take them from there. But I think there's a like FIFA headquarters in Philly that they probably their parents picked them up from there.
Parents have to go to the game, but we'll take your kids.
Yeah, but shout out to the ball kids because those kids are volunteering. They're they're out there doing their thing. So shout out to the ball kids. That's my fair play because they got to put the work in. They got to put the balls back in the little cones. So, who's your Dan Simmons fair play of the week?
Shout out to all the FIFA volunteers, like from the people that were doing
super friendly
and stuff. Like they were. That's what. I mean, you watch it on TV, but there's a lot of work when you actually get to see it in person. Like, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes.
Do you see them putting out the measuring, like little measuring tapes that they had?
No, I didn't see that part.
So because the stadium doesn't have so when you watch like for example LA I think has it,
Hmm.
and Dallas has the FIFA like sign like hanging, the FIFA letters are hanging.
Yeah. Oh, that part, right?
But in the Philly stadium, there's obviously nowhere to hang them from, so they put them on the grass in
Yeah.
midfield. So they come out ahead of time,
And
um,
measure where it needs
and
to go.
they have this they have it's actually, I mean, it's pretty cool. So these two guys have these or these two people have these this like basically looks like a rope of some sort of or strap, and it has lines. It's already marked out. So there was one line where that was midfield. So they got to line it up, make sure that's on midfield, and they hold it tight. And then they measure out where the letters go. The measurement. Then there's a guy that comes in with a ruler, with a measuring stick, to make sure that they're all leveled out, so they're all straight, and that they're all the same distance that they're supposed to be from each other. Then they do the same thing at midfield or by the benches, where they put the little signs or those little arches that they put out, so where the people then hold the flags. Same idea. They lay those out. They put these like things on there. They stick them to the ground, and then they pull up the tape and move them on. But it's just like really cool from a again when you and I, because you and I have organized events before, you take a lot more appreciation into what goes into that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
when you got to put a tournament together and all these other things. So,
I mean,
but
putting World Cup together is cake.
after you put one futsal tournament together, it's
Put a
cake.
put a put a bracket together. They don't want my twist on a bracket for a World Cup.
No, they don't. No, they don't. That's why it's always said, right? They got it easy, right? Because they know how many teams are going to go in.
So I'm saying those 12 third place teams would be fighting it. They be playing an extra game. You're gonna
It's a,
fight your way out.
it's a play-in game.
You're gonna be absolutely,
Oh,
Sebastian. So you imagine 12 teams, third place teams,
yeah.
competing for seeding. Eighth place has to go play the hardest game. Probably got to travel across the country too.
Got played in Alaska.
Yeah, first place. All right, we'll get you a game that you can win in the round of 32.
If not, you got to go to Alaska.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You finish eighth place, you got to go play in the hardest. You got to
Yeah.
go play in the Azteca, bro. 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
We're throwing batteries at you.
All right. Well,
Coach told me that ODP one year. Said you got to get ready to. So we're trying to prepare you guys to be able to play in the Azteca for the national team, where they play at 12 o'clock and they throw batteries at you, heated up batteries at you. What?
well, this is a lot of fun. We got the interview coming up with Dan Rigby, so make sure you listen to that. A really really cool interview about Win the Day Planner and everything about having to do with coaching education, and some really cool experiences. All right, well, thanks for listening, and remember, always receive the ball on your front foot. All right, with us today we have Dan Rigby. He is the founder and owner of Win the Day Planner, and he's somebody that I've gotten to interact with for the last couple of years now, and I think officially met this past week for the first time. And I think that might be one of the first times I've gotten to like listen to him talk, and a lot of the things resonated with me, and including one of the things that I have here. So I have a copy of the planner here with me, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I have another book that I'll show you in a little bit too, Dan. But Dan, let's start off with first of all, thank you for joining us today. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
appreciate you having me, Coach, and thanks for what you're doing for the youth sports and youth soccer in Delaware, man. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so let's talk about let's dive right into it with Win the Day Planner. So this is something that we've been using at Odessa High School for the last, I think, 3 years now. We
Yeah.
started with the app, and then we went to the physical planners, which the kids really enjoy. So talk me through kind of how this started, and we can even go back to the beginning of
Sure.
your coaching days, and
Yeah.
then how this kind of evolved.
Yeah, so I had the privilege of coaching wrestling in Delaware for about 15 years, head coach for 15 years, and I stepped away in 2022, and it just felt like it was time for me. I had accomplished a lot of things I wanted to accomplish, and I just felt like I had just some other things I really wanted to jump into, and I kind of at our school, I was one of the more senior coaches, which is kind of wild. I was mid 30s, early 30s. And what I kind of found was like mentoring coaches was really a passion of mine too. So leadership was a passion of mine. So I had a lot of young coaches who said, "Hey, Dan, you do all this weird stuff like team culture and mindfulness and yoga and breath work." And I'm like, "That's you mean good coaching?" And they said, "Can you help out some of our kids?" I said, "Sure." So we were doing a leadership group in the morning where athletes would meet with me at 6:30 in the morning. And I very quickly realized that what we did in our program wasn't necessarily the same as what other people did in their program. And our kids were really good at saying the right things, but they didn't always do the right things. So I said, let me find some sort of accountability tool, make one that these kids can kind of really start tracking things like hydration and their sleep and their phone screen time and their academics all in one spot. So I made it on Canva. My wife did because she's smarter than me. And then I would print a sheet, give it to the kids. They'd fill it out and they loved it. I'd do another one. They loved it. I said, I got to stop printing these. So I got it. I put it like 3 weeks worth in a folder. Ended up getting them printed at a local mom and pop shop, and it just kind of took off. And to be honest with you, I was like, man, I'm a teacher. I don't have time to keep printing these. I can't afford to keep printing these.
Yeah.
Let me throw it on Amazon and just see what happens. I didn't know how to use Amazon. I didn't know anything about it. Like I knew how to buy stuff, but I didn't know how to obviously put a product on there. And then fast forward 3 years later, and we're like, I don't know, close approaching the 100,000 bookmark, and then, it's just been a really cool experience. What we do is we obviously offer the planner, but what we really do is we offer this ecosystem for coaches and programs. It's leadership opportunities, it's team culture opportunities, it's mental performance opportunities, it's sports nutritionists. We have all of that stuff packaged around this planner idea. So we're blessed to be able to work with teams in Delaware who want to use us. It's not for everybody. We fully acknowledge that. If you're a very X and O based coach and you're very kind of what's black and white, and we're probably not the fit for you. We're kind of more in the transformational coaching mindset where we want to create great human beings, great people. As John Wood says, great people make great performers, and that's what we try to do. And we're lucky enough to work with people like you who take programs and grow because it's that those are the kind of coaches that we really want to work with. So we tend to work with a lot of the teams that are in the semifinals and the finals every year. Just naturally, it just works that way because when you invest in people, you get a great product, and certainly that's what you've done at Odessa, and you should be proud of that for sure.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I think so. The things that resonate with me as you were talking about that is that almost that weird feeling of, wait, why do people think that all the things that I do are weird when they're just like natural? Like it's almost just be like it just makes sense, right? Like
Yeah.
that concept of beyond the X's and O's. Sometimes I found myself every time I coach, I sometimes look at it as, we had 51 girls this year at Odessa, and I felt like I had to be 51 different versions of myself to a
Ooh.
certain extent, right? Because I had to coach 51 different ways. And at times you look at it and you're like, well, why do all of it? And you're like, well, because that's the only way to connect with people, right? And to try to connect. And I think that's a big part of it. Walk me through that feeling of when people come to you, right? And you're like, hey, you're doing all these extra things beyond, and at the time you were coaching wrestling, right?
Yeah.
You're doing the things beyond the workouts and the practices and the weight management and everything that goes in with wrestling, and you're going through all these other things. Where does that come from, right? Where did you think to just be like, hey, I want to do, because I want to get into this, I want to do a reading club, I want to do a book club, I want to focus on my student athletes becoming just good human beings, not only for the program, but just for the community in general, right? Because these are people that when they graduate, they might not become professional wrestlers, right, to a certain extent, but how can they find a way to give back to their community in a positive manner?
Yeah, so I'm going to drop four or five liquid gold opportunities for you here. I would say, we say this: great people are great performers. Great teams are made up of great teammates. I would say that one of the things that really resonated with me was I had an aha moment early in my career. We were winning and winning and winning, and I was like, there's a little bit more that I can be doing here because I had some kids get in trouble. And I kind of had this aha moment, and I said, 1% of my kids might go on to wrestle at the next level. Wrestling doesn't
Right.
have a ton of opportunities. 100% of these kids will go on to be active adults. Like, where should I be focusing my attention?
Yeah.
I want my kids to be great fathers, to be great husbands, to be great siblings, to be great role models. And for me, like transactionally, it was great when I had state champions. We were winning state championships and we were holding a trophy, but like it's more important to me when I start getting invited to back to people's weddings and they run up to me and they want to introduce me to their baby and show me their baby because I'm like, that's the impact that I've always been looking to make. Like there's more to this. Like if I win a state championship, it's a moment in time that's exciting for that kid, but I want to make an impact for life. I just literally got off the phone with a wrestler of mine who was a huge part in one of our state championships, 2018. And he is now currently thinking about changing his career, and he wants to get into teaching because he got the bug. And to me, there's no bigger reward than being able to do that stuff. And I think you can. I think that's the beautiful thing about sport is it's a beautiful mechanism to teach life. But I think you have to be very intentional, right? You have to do things that create winners for life. So when you talk about the things that we did that were different, when we started a book club, I noticed that lots of people get mad at kids for like, oh, kids don't know how to be leaders. Well, why would they know how to be leaders?
Yeah.
Who in the heck has ever taught them how to be a leader?
Yeah.
Kids don't know how to work hard. No crap. Who's teaching them how to work hard? It's our job. Like my job title is teacher.
Yeah.
That's my job. And part of it is to make them uncomfortable and to grow. And so we would do things like we had a yoga coach. We would have
Yeah.
like at my first, and we would travel with this coach. It got so ingrained in what we do that the coach would travel with us to away matches. And nobody was doing yoga back then, but I thought it was important, and my kids bought into it.
Yeah.
We would have a sports nutritionist come in and meet with us several times a year. And so for me, I'm trying to create winners for life. So if a kid can understand the importance of macronutrients and what they're putting in their body, of course it makes them a better wrestler. But at some point, hopefully, it makes them a healthier human being after sport. If I can introduce yoga to kids and they find a lot of value in stress management and mobility, it's great for wrestling. But my goodness, hopefully, they find a way to keep moving the remainder of their life. So for me, one of the reasons why I think a lot of people don't do is they look at it as another thing. And
Yeah.
I always looked at it as another way to get better.
Yeah.
Like it's just another way to get better. And so I never looked at it. I was always looking for the next opportunity. Breath work. We
Yeah.
started doing breath work, and nobody was doing that stuff. So
Yeah.
to me, I was always looking for the edge, but I was also trying to create winners for life, and that's part of the whole process for us.
That's amazing. I mean, it's funny because everything you've said, it's similar words that I've said recently in like just conversations with coaches or with just people. Because it's true. I mean, this entire season for us, we've everything we've talked about. It was just everything's a process, and we've talked about the word legacy, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I've reminded every single one of our players and our coaching staff and everyone around is like, what happens the day after you either win or lose in the state championship game? Nothing. Ultimately, you start the next season, right? Like you start the next thing, you move on, and you get back into it, right? So, but what's that process that you've learned, right? What is everything that you've done, and how is that going to help you become a better teammate? It was really funny because when you were talking about your book club, so I'm sitting next to, so let's back up to Tuesday, right? So Delaware Sports Leadership Conference, right? At CR High School. So I'm sitting there, and you're talking about this is after John Wood's presentations, and you're talking about how you started your book club, right? As soon as you said book club, our 3 student athletes that were there from Odessa just started laughing and putting their hands on their heads, right? So our one player from our girls soccer team starts looking at me, right? Because she knows I'm already in my head. I'm already like, ha, see, I'm not just a random.
It's not just me.
Yeah. Yeah, and then because I saw it on the table of books. I was like, I can pick that book out from any point. So I'm going to show you. Here's the book Legacy.
Yep.
By James Kerr. I I read this book when it came out in 2013, and it resonated with me so much.
Mm.
And I reread it again last year. And I thought to myself, how come it's taken me 12 years to reread this book?
Yep.
And also, it was like, wait, I reread it, but I'm like, these are all the things that I've been talking about for the last 12 years. I'm like, how
Right.
much it like stuck with me. And so at the moment, so we basically this year we made all of our seniors read Legacy, and we said this is your theme for the year is
Mm.
Legacy. Can you leave the jersey in a better place?
Hmm.
Not from a result standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint in our program. Can you leave it in a better place? And so we came up with this thing where we're going to have the senior class read Legacy every year.
Mm.
And so the idea is that the seniors that we had this year all have a copy of it. They're going to get to write on it,
Oh,
and they're
oh,
going to then pick who they pass it on to
oh
for the
gosh, I
next
love
senior
that.
class. So there's Regina from our incoming senior, and she already knows she's going to read Legacy. And the moment you bring up the book, she was like, she just like had that like moment of like, man, like it's. So I walk out, and one of our boys soccer players, I was like, see, like how was that? Yeah, you're not as crazy as we think you are. You
Yeah,
actually might know what you're talking about. I was like, thank you. Like
that's
it's
right.
only taking so many years.
Yeah.
Um, but let's talk about the Delaware Sports Leadership Conference because I think it was so I've gone to a lot of soccer coaches conventions and conferences and things like that. And one of the things that is always and it's starting to slightly change, but the mental health aspect of it, or just even the leadership development, let's not even call it
Yeah.
mental health, let's call it leadership development aspect of it,
Sure.
is something that it's now starting to trickle in and be a part of it.
Yeah.
What I thought was really, really cool and really interesting is the fact that and extremely intentional, you created this Delaware Sports Leadership Conference, which I think is massive. But B, inviting coaches and student athletes in the same place.
Yeah.
Why that decision? Because I think that's a critical decision.
Yeah. So let me go back to a point really quickly here.
Yeah.
This idea of social media, ding words, buzzwords, reels, people.
Yeah.
There's always these hot topics, right? And so, like, culture is one of them,
Yeah.
obviously. Mental fitness.
Yeah.
One of the big things that we're really, I'm working with a lot of coaches on is this idea of transformational versus transactional. And so, when I think about like the book Legacy, this is a very unique perspective. I did it 5 or 6 years ago. So one of the things that for me is transformational is I used to be the guy that says, why do we have to do this? And I would be the guy that would say, because I said so, right? And so then I became the why guy in my mind, where I would say, well, I want you to ask why. Not in maybe like a snarky, disrespectful way, but be curious about why we're doing what we're doing, because trust the process is not real. Learn the process and
Yeah.
believe in the process is real. So I would tell kids, we're going to read books, and here's why. And so in Legacy, one of the things that we had to do with our book club is I had to really dig into who the New Zealand All Blacks were, because a lot of my student athletes didn't really
No.
understand this idea of Australian rules football, rugby. They didn't really know who the New Zealand All Blacks were beyond watching them a group do a haka on a video, but like digging into who they were a little bit bought in, helped them buy into what I was asking them to do. So a process-minded thought helped them say, okay, well, I'm going to read this book because I do want to do what the best do. And when I learned about why they're the best, it gives a little bit of a preview into why, right? So just a process versus a transactional versus transformational mindset. But going back to the sports conference, man, we had this idea to do this about 3 years ago, and I don't know that Win the Day had credibility in the market yet to do this. People didn't know who we were. They didn't really know what we were about. They didn't really see the benefit of use what we can offer. So it wasn't the right timing, and I kind of made it a point with Shelly from DSCYF to like, let's get back into this. I think the time is right now. We sell out every single season like we never have. Coaches are into this now. And she said, "Do you think you can get it done this summer?" I'm like, "I don't know. Summertime is like it's people's off time. So the fact that we got 70, my goal, like they wanted 40, I wanted 75. We got 70 people in there, student athletes, athletic directors on a summer day, to me spoke volumes to this idea that coaches are really hungry for more, and we just have, it's just like kids. Kids haven't changed. What we expected them has changed. We have to put them in an environment where they can be successful. So if you noticed, we didn't have anything sports specific. There was no
That was
X and O skills
that was
on this at
perfect.
all.
Yep.
It was every sport can take these coaching principles back to their teams. But the idea to bring students in there too was like, it's great to bring coaches in there, but like let's give opportunities for schools to bring young aspiring student leaders. And if they want to show up on a Tuesday in the summer, that tells you everything you need to know about their level of commitment. And we had a bunch of kids like that. We as a state, we as coaches associations, we as old people can complain about kids all we want. But the reality is, you don't know what they're capable of until you give them an opportunity. And you don't know what they're capable of until you tell them why. And when you do, let them go. They will almost always impress you. And you know, I hate when coaches say, "Oh, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink." And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Give me a horse, watch me start, watch me take all the water away from that horse for a long time. Watch me mentally prepare that. I will get that horse to drink. And as coaches, we should be thinking the same way. And that's what we did. That's what you did. That's what a lot of our other coaches did. And hopefully, we proved the concept. Moving forward, we can keep this thing growing, and people will be like, yes, I need my kids there. I need my coaching staff there. This is beneficial. So if you can't tell, I get fired up about this stuff.
No,
man. This is my
but
jam.
it's amazing. But to be honest with you, again, I think it's what's needed, right? I've gone through coaching courses and licenses for soccer for the last 15, 20 years of my career. And so we talk about nutrition to a certain extent. We talk about fitness. We talk about the X's and O's of the game and everything else. I'm like, well, when do we get to really talk about the mental aspect of it, right? Like, when do we get to talk? Because it doesn't matter, right? Like, talent is talent, right? There's going to be people that are talented, but if you don't know how to put that to use and you don't know how to overcome challenges. I just finished watching the Rafa Nadal documentary on Netflix. And everything he talks about has nothing to do with, there is very little about like actual tennis talk, but everything had just had to do with his ability to overcome things in the mind, right? His self-talk, his ability, why he has the tics or the rituals that he has. And he said he tried to overcome it once because he watched himself and he was like, I look silly doing it, but I can't, like, this is the one moment I get to control. And that control is so important for me to be able to relax and have the right mindset to go into the next point. And when you look at it from that perspective, you're like, all right, like, these are all the things that every elite athlete in their respective sport, whether it's a team sport or an individual sport, right? Every athlete talks about this, right? Yet we still, like, it's almost like a struggle of, I don't know if maybe it's vulnerability of saying, like, not that I need help, but like I need support in these things, right? Because I think, as I was sitting there on Tuesday, I'm like, yeah, this is like soccer as far as like how to kick a ball. Everything's been invented at this point, right? Like,
there's changing how you pick a ball.
There's nothing new, right? There's realistically nothing new. There's different ways that you can get from point A to point B to a certain extent, but point A is still the same, point B is still the same.
Yep.
It's everything in between that matters so much, right? Like, I can go look up, if I don't know how to do something or I can't get my team to do something on the field, I could probably find a YouTube video, a talk, a different lesson plan or coaching. Like, that's easy, right? And I can probably find a video of somebody doing it.
Yep.
I think in person, being able to listen to it and connect with others, DC, Lavender, and I just had a really good conversation while we were there about these things, right? Like, and we're rivals, right? Like, we play each other throughout the season or in the playoffs and things like that. But it goes beyond that, right? Like, and I've coached some of his players. He's coached some of my players from high school and club and everything else. And that's what it's about, right? It's that connecting coaches together, or the student athletes part of it. I think because at some point, and this is the part that I think it develops and this has the potential to do, yes, 100, like what you said, right? 100% will be human beings in this world and society, will become adults in society. but you hope at some point that some of them turn around and become coaches.
100%.
And we stop that concept that we sometimes look at where, well, if I coach how I was coached,
Oh
and
man,
then
stop that. Yep.
yeah, if I coach how I was coached, and I look at it from that perspective, and I go, I don't need to grow because I know everything, and I won a state cup or state championship back in 19 or 2000 and whatever, and this is how my coach did it, and I'm just going to do it exactly the same way, expecting that the results are going to be exactly the same, and I don't change anything, and then nothing ever changes, nothing ever grows. You don't. It's that concept again, that concept of legacy, right? When you're at the top of your game, change it. Like
Yep.
what? So where's that coach development for you from a student athlete perspective? Is that the next step into this as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. I'm going to go back into a point because you talked about my friend DC Lavender, and DC and I are great friends. And I don't know if a lot of your listeners might know DC. DC is DC. Like,
Yeah.
I think he is one of the most interesting human beings in the world. I hope he sees this. Uh, But like, what happens behind closed doors with DC and I is really, really important, man. And like, when I first met DC, he's kind of a bro. And I'm like, how am I going to work with this guy? And what I learned very quickly was, man, the way we connect over books.
Yeah.
Uh, I give him a book, he gives me a book, and then we just sit and have these really deep conversations. Or he'll send me a podcast. He sent me a podcast from Dave Abraham,
Oh, fantastic.
talking about ant. Yeah, yeah. So talking about ants.
Ants. Yep.
And I'm like, oh, I'm in. And I'm like, except the problem is I'm always buying him the books and he doesn't ever buy me the books. So like, I think he needs to return the favor. But like,
There you go.
but I think we have a coaches leadership group at our school that meet every Thursday morning because it's important. Well, DC's got 3 kids. You can't get to that. But like, the way DC, and to your point, you're a coach to 51 different people. I talk leadership with hundreds of different people.
Yeah.
And when DC and I get going, I have to get up and walk out sometimes because like it gets we won't stop and
Yeah.
it's so much fun. So when I started Win Today, it's just funny because you grow in this too. Like, it's a process and it's reflection, right? We talked about this earlier. Like, in order to really dig into this mental health space or mental fitness or whatever, you have to be really honest about where you are with things. I had to be really honest, man. I was just talking to Allie. I said, when I first started this business and everybody signed up, I literally showed up at an athletic directors conference. I gave them a box of books, of planners, and that's it. And I'm like, well, they don't know how to do, they don't know what this is. It's going to end up in their closet. It's going to end up somewhere else. So we've had to evolve. And what I've learned very over the last year in particular is we're not in the business of really training kids, man. We're really not in the business of student athlete development as much as we are coaches development, because we can run leadership summits for kids and we could have 500 kids show up. We could do it for a week long, but they're still going back to a school that a coach is either going to reinforce what we talked about or they're going to erase everything that we talked about.
Yeah.
And if we're equipping coaches with the tools, that's transformation. That's exponential growth in terms of what we can get to with kids. I think about it from a principal standpoint. I strike a nerve with a lot of people, and hopefully not a lot of educators. Maybe educators would agree with me on this. I don't think principals, high school principals, shouldn't be in the business of dealing with kids. They should be in the business of empowering teachers and helping teachers. Because if you help teachers, obviously you help those 2,000 kids. But if you're trying to fight and figure out how to get this kid and this kid and this kid, just empower the teachers, and then you'll get the kids. I always say this too: win the parents, win the kids. So we're in the business of training coaches now, more so than we are with athletes, because they're the ones that are in front of those kids every single day. And John Woods said this too, man. Like, more is caught than taught. Like, your example that you're setting every single day will eventually catch on with kids.
Yeah.
A year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, they'll come back and they'll say, "Hey, coach, remember that goofy book you had us read, where they talked about sweeping the sheds or
Yeah.
sweeping what was that again?" But the whole principle was like, you got to leave it better than you found it. I
Yep.
remember that. Maybe they did, so us helping coaches kind of get to that mindset, we believe is really where you get that exponential growth and really develop student athletes at a much higher level.
I had that moment a couple years ago. One of my former players became a coach for us at the time when I was at a club, and she said, I walked in and watched one of her games, and she's like, "Hey, remember like the first thing she said to me, she's like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" She's like, "Hey, do you remember when we were in Boston and you made us basically coach ourselves for 15 minutes because we showed up 15 minutes late?" And I was like, "Yes." Well, I was mad at you for all that until today. Today, I realized why you did it. And I was like, all right,
Yep.
that was 6 years ago. Like, but
I
it's
had I got to tell this story, and I hope this kid doesn't watch. God, I hope he doesn't watch this. I had a kid that I saw at Wawa like a year and a half ago who was just going through a police academy, and he said, "Oh man, they told me this was going to be hard, but they've never been to a Dan Rigby practice." I told him they've never been to a Dan Rigby practice, and I'm like, "Wow, what an impact I made on that kid." What I didn't say was, you didn't make it through a Dan Rigby practice either. You were the kid every single day. I'm not kidding. He had the same, he would leave his ice bag in the back gym and he would pick it up the next day because his same knee hurt every single day. He never made it through a practice. But what it told me was the impact that kid wanted to be part of the program. He
yeah,
wanted to be part of something.
yeah,
And now part of his identity was, I'm a Caesarati wrestler. And
that
he
means
might not
something.
have actually been a Caesarani wrestler, but
But that
man,
means
he
that
picked
meant
up
something
some
to him.
lessons. He
Yeah.
picked up some lessons, and to me, that's what it's all about when we're coaching. So hopefully he's not watching it because then he would know that I called a sissy kind of.
No, but again, I think what you're talking about is so important. I think again that concept of coaching coaches, um, you know, two things with that. One, sometimes when the coaches are there with their student athletes and they're hearing the same message, it's kind of like what I said before, right? With my kids, they're like looked at me and like, oh wow, like these are a lot of the same things you're talking about. I was like, yeah, I didn't just pull them out of a hat. Like I'm not a
Yeah,
magician and just said, hey, poof. Second, and Dwayne that now that Dwayne joined us, Dwayne will appreciate and understand this concept of coaching coaches. We had our somebody that we hold very near dear to our heart is Dr. Lou Atkinson, who passed away a couple years ago, um, who is a staple of education in Delaware, but for us was a staple of our coaching education. Actually, was one of Dwayne's coaches at Dover High School. But for me, I met Lou when I first moved to Delaware 10 years ago, and Lou would come out to our practice. He was our technical advisor. Lou would come out to our practices, and he would stand next to you. And the first couple of times that happens, I was terrified, absolutely terrified, because I was like, all right, cool, like he's gonna sit here and judge me. It's slightly terrifying while I'm trying to coach. Or I was like, okay, this is an opportunity where he's just gonna start taking over my practice. I don't think he ever really spoke to the kids outside of like saying hi to them and asking them if they were having fun. He only talked to me, and he only talked to me in questions, right? So he would come up to me and be like, hey, so what are you working on today? And so I would tell him, all right, and why did you do this? And why did you do that? And why did you do this? And have you thought about this? And it became this thing of like he was trying to coach the kids through me, right? And that's what it became. That's that entire concept of, and I inherited, speaking of books, Dwayne and I went and picked him up. I inherited his entire book library when he passed away.
Oh man.
So we have books from the 70s, from the 60s, all about soccer and magazines and all these things. So when we talk about that concept of where we were and where we are now,
Mm.
do you think um, some of these things that we are talking about now were there before and just were so kept not a secret, but were like people didn't want to admit it that they were
Yeah.
doing it? Or is it things that we are really finally with generational changes in general? And I think, I think you and I are probably close in age. And I feel like our generation started developing how to use a phone. Like
Yeah.
we in the middle school, high school ages, we got phones. And so from that point on, we had more access to things. So then
Yeah.
information was shared more. So you think that's what ultimately developed all the things, or they existed back then and the people just didn't want to talk about them because they were maybe taboo or things like that? Or do you think
Yeah.
it's the generational part of it?
Yeah, you keep saying things here that I have to go back to because it gets me so fired up.
In a good way
But
or a bad way? Because if
in a
it's a
good
bad
way,
way,
in a good way.
okay, great.
The questioning of the coaches in a growth mindset manner, and this will get me to my next point, is huge because when we give very one-word answers or very yes or no answers, it doesn't ask you to reflect,
Yeah.
right? If I said, "Hey, coach, tell me why you did this, and tell me what your thought process was here," you're creating a transformational process with your coaches. I think I just got done talking to some leaders about this. We would do this in the wrestling room on a regular basis. I wanted my kids to be very cerebral, and I wanted them to kind of have some ownership of what they were doing because it in wrestling, it can be very robotic and very, I do this, I do this, I do this. And I wanted to know why we were doing these things. And I wanted them to be the why guy. So, hey, man, tell me about the thought process here in this scramble. Or hey, man, listen, tell me about if I had to grade you on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of speed and pace and effort in this drill, where would you be? Oh, I'm a 10. All right, cool. So I actually had somebody video you. I want you to watch it, and then I want you to tell me again what it would be. That's not me. That is you. Well, that guy's going slow. Well, that's because you're going slow. And so creating that growth mindset in a place where it's okay, not to challenge, but to kind of express and reflect and be like, okay, cool. Well, I definitely need to go faster. That's huge. And I to your point, I think access to things is huge. I think being able to like, coaching resources 20 years ago compared to now, like you can jump on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere and just get all the information you need. But I also think too, it's a trend, right? I think when you watch what the best are doing, it does validate what people like us are doing, right? When
Yeah.
when these elite college coaches and these elite pro level coaches, and we're talking about ants with European, Premier League coaches, like
Yeah.
we're talking about these things, and they're like, it helps me to be able to go to coaches and say, "Hey, coach, well, we don't do it that way." All right, cool. So who are the best five coaches in the NFL? Him. Tell me which of them don't do it that. Well, they all do, but so it helps us, right?
Yeah.
I also think too, like research is important, man. Like in school, I'm still like an educator, and I'm down with like there are certain things that you just have. You got to know your multiplication tables. You got to know
Yeah.
how to add. You got to know how to. But like creating an environment where growth mindset things are happening on a regular basis, it just creates this like ecosystem of like rich content, right? So when he's asking you, why are you doing this? It makes you first say, well, why am I? Why am I
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
it? Right? And that's what we should be doing. So to answer your question in the long, I think it's learning how the brain works, obviously, like open-ended questions where it's okay to give your honest opinion, reflection strategies. We deal with this all the time. Um, Coaches say our kids don't know how to reflect. Well, you have to build a system
Yeah.
for it,
You got to
right?
teach
Well,
them
better
how to.
how? Well, better how? I'm going to do this. So what next? So what? What's next? I did this. So what? What's next? You have to give them like opportunities. And I just think we've really kind of we dive into the pedagogy or the philosophy of coaching way more than we ever did before. Like if we coached the way that we were coached, my dad is the man, two-time state champ, All-American. Like the way my dad coached, not the way that I coach.
No.
But
Yeah.
if I kept that cycle going, it would be very transactional and you got to get a good sweat in today. And I'm like, there's a time for that. But
Yeah.
like learning how to do things differently and be reflective and create these environments where you're very cerebral and intentional about things that to me, the art of coaching is very different now than it used to be. It used to be what kind of cool drills can I put into place? And you still got to do that, but like really, how can I get my kids to take ownership? I don't know if got a chance to go to the last session with Kate Alston. She's a field hockey coach at Cape Henlopen. She's won 11 state championships, and she says things like, our kids are very type A. They're very hardworking, but they like to be told what to do. And what happens is we notice that they're not overly resilient when things don't go their way. So we create gray area practices where we'll give 50% instruction in the drill,
There you
and
go.
then we kind of back up and they have to figure out how to go from there. And I'm just like writing everything down. I'm like, I do something like that. I do something like this. And um, so being intentional about what your team needs is obviously it's huge. And the more we talk like this and the more
Yeah.
you guys have success at Odessa, then it's like all it does is validate the thought process that transactional coaching, you might get some wins temporarily, but transformational coaching, you're going to get wins for life, man. It's consistent. You can consistently win that way.
And I think, it's funny you mentioned that Dwayne and I, we've coached together for a long time, and Dwayne knows that I have this one passing pattern that we do that I don't talk through at all. I explain the 3 rules in the passing pattern. I explain them twice. And then after that, I say, all right, off you go, right? And now, again, having coached a lot of the same players over and over again, they know what the 3 rules are, and they know it. But there's always somebody that's new. There's so I always wait until at some point in the season to introduce it. And so this year we introduced it, and we had a player that was in the middle of a recovery from an injury, or had to take a practice off or something like that. So, and this is also a coach that happens to coach with Dwayne at the club level, and who happens to have not only used the Win Today planner as a player, but also as a coach, because Dwayne's team used the Win Today planner. And so I'm sitting there, and every time I have a new coach with me, I always tell them, like, don't say anything. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, this is going to fail at some point, and you're going to let it. You're like, no, let it, because this is what I'm looking for. It's like, yes, there are a lot of like technical coaching points in this activity, but we're going to get to that. We'll get to that at some point. We might not even get there today. We'll get there maybe tomorrow or the next day or whenever the next time we do it. So again, we start this thing, and at some point, because there's 2 movements that are happening. So the 3 rules in the activity are: you have to play the way you face, you have to follow your pass, and do not turn. Like, do not turn, play the way you face, follow your pass, right? So there are 2 boxes, and 2 players are always stuck in the middle. And if at some point the rhythm gets messed up, all of a sudden you might look, and the 2 players that you purposely put in the middle to be stuck in the middle, because they're specific players, all of a sudden are on the outside of the box. And you're like, wait, how did that happen? And so there's, at some point, it always fails. It always falls apart. And it's that moment of somebody has to step up from that group and go, stop, let's reset it and do it again, because we are clearly not on the same page. And so this year we did it. And I told our player that was hurt at the time, I said, hey, why don't you go to that grid and make sure you sort them out? It's a lot of new players in that grid, right? And I said, but let them figure it out first before you step in. And so she sits there, and all of a sudden I'm watching the other grid, and all of a sudden I hear her go, stop. And I turn around, and she's like, you got to do this. Remember, there's 3 rules. Don't turn, play the way you face, follow your pass. And she's walking through, and I'm like, those are the clicking points for me. Like, those are the moments where you're like, all right, you've now taken that next step. You've done it so many times, but now you're able to pass it on to somebody else. And I think those are really, really cool moments of like, yes, we can teach the X's and O's, but that moment for me isn't about the X's and O's necessarily as much. It's not that it's the technical part becomes secondary. It's who's going to actually step up, and in a group of 10 people that are all failing at something, going to be vulnerable enough to be like, hey, stop, we are not doing this correctly. Let's restart it and do it right. Because it's
Coach,
not working.
I can't.
Go ahead.
I've never been so fired up on a podcast in my life. in the PE world, schools used to pay me to come in and teach SEL, and I'm like, first they were like, the state was like, hey, can you train some people on stuff? Can you train on SEL? And I'm like, I don't really know what that is, and I had to Google it, and I found out, and I'm like, yep, but my training is going to be very different. It's going to be very different because to me, we as adults, we overcomplicate things all the time. And my number 1 training would be, guys, here's the deal. The number 1 place for SEL to take place, there's 2 places in school, and you don't have anything to do with either of them. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's PE and it's recess. What? I said, yeah, and then you guys are real quick to take both of those away. And you know why? We get in the way of kids sometimes because we need to control everything.
Yeah.
Kids are resilient. You give some structure, a little bit of structure, and say, go. Yeah. And they'll always tell you everything you need to know. They'll tell you, who's the leader in the group? It's normally the kid who goes and picks captains. Captains can be wrong. It can hurt kids' feelings. But let's be honest, like, that tells you who the leaders are.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you
the pecking order, right?
That's right. The pecking order is going to tell you who can conflict resolute the best. Who can say, wait a minute, coach said it's these 3 things, and then the leader jumps in and says, "You're right. Let's do it this way better." And then you have your soldiers who are just following, and then they're your like. we are always in a, and I love that you say that because, you know, we, that's also a recipe for what happens in games. Like we can't be on the pitch. That's a
Nope.
soccer term I learned.
Yeah.
We can't be on the pitch with the kids all the time fixing everything for them. There's going to have to be some sort of natural pecking order, leadership, project, or process management where somebody steps up and says, "We've done these before in a safe environment with a safety net where we're not going to get, we're not going to lose a playoff game because we've practiced this
Right.
before." But to get coaches to understand the value of that drill, so many coaches would say, "I got to step in. You're not doing it right." Transactional is control based. Transformational is learning process based. And that's you're learning the drill, but you're also learning how to solve all those things. And so when you get down late, we've been here before, we can figure this out.
Yeah.
We know how to
Sort it
solve
out.
these problems. We're man down. We figure it out. So I loved hearing about that, Coach. I can't figure out what in the heck you were talking about drill wise, but that's okay.
That's okay.
There's a box
Yeah,
inside of a box.
It's a
yeah,
box
just
inside
go.
of a box.
Hey, you
That's a
lost me. Not for me.
it's a total of 8 cones. It's only
Yeah,
8 cones. Yeah. Um,
6 minutes.
yeah, Dan.
It's just like a wrestling mat, right? Like a circle inside of a circle.
Yeah.
I guess. I guess.
Um, Dan, as we begin to wrap up here, where does Winded Day go from here? Right, you had Tuesday,
Yeah.
Delaware Sports Leadership Conference. Where does Winded Day go from here?
Yeah, man. So it's kind of wild. We have some cool things that we're hoping to be able to launch in the fall. We're waiting to see if this is going to pan out. If it does pan out, we've got this really great transformational survey-based program that will come out with our coaches, where coaches will send out a survey to their athletes about things like connectedness to the program. Do you feel emotionally well? Da, 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 da. And it's a growth opportunity for coaches. So every month at the high school level, hopefully athletic directors will be able to meet and say, "Hey, coach, you were a 9.1 here, 9.2 here, but your communication skills were a 6.0. Next time we meet, here's how we can improve on that." So it's a tool for coaches and athletic directors. The second thing is we're trying to launch and again, this is all pending on the next week or so, we'll know for sure. We're trying to make a model for athletic directors where we notice that there's a lot of gaps in what athletic directors want to do and what they're capable of doing. So things like college recruiting process, we want to hire someone to come on monthly Zooms for the teams that work with us and do monthly Zooms about college recruiting 101, about parent university. What's the role of the parent in the
Yes.
process? Sports nutrition, mental health for athletes, and we're going to put this all out because what we did before is we had these mindset Zooms, but like the reality is that doesn't get a lot of people jazzed because they're not buying into it. But what they are buying into is, where should my kid be in the recruiting process right now? Because everybody thinks that their kid should be playing in college. The coaches are going to buy into this parent university, and athletic directors will too, because if you get the parents on board for what you're trying to do, everything gets better. Every parent will love the idea of a sports nutritionist coming on and talking about the importance of sleep and hydration and
Yep.
nutrition and all that jazz. So we're really looking there. And then last but not least, we're actually, when I first got a contract in Delaware, I was like, it's just a one-man show. And I work full time for a district because I love what I do. Like I can't leave. I couldn't handle everything. We're now at a place now where we have some capacity to grow. So we actually have met with like 2 or 3 different states in the last 2 weeks about moving into their space as well and doing this in other states. We're also in the health game, so we're in a lot of health classes as well across Delaware. So it's fun. It's I'm telling you, man, it's no different than coaching. It's no different than being an athlete. I mess up. I look back in the mirror. I'm like, man, you're a dummy, Dan. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? Let's go. We got to fix it. You can sit here and pout about it, or you can get bad. You can get better. And it's really just, to your point, process minded. Outcomes will happen.
Yeah.
I'll sell. We'll get people to be on board. We'll get teams that work with us who go to the state champion. It's great. But like the real joy in all of this for me is like learning how to run a business and help people. It's not work for me, man. It's fun. So that's what we're doing.
I think that to me is the best quote. It's not work,
Yeah,
it's fun. Like
fun.
that's the best part of it. I
That's
love
how you
that.
got to live your life, man.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
You
it's
got to
if
live
it's
your
yeah, if
life.
it's not fun, if it's not fun, man, why do it? Like try to do
At
things
the,
that
at,
are
at the end of the day, like I say this to every team, like why, like when we first start visualization and imagery with the team, I have a specific one that I go through where I say, like, let's pretend it's soccer, and I like, tell me about. I want you to visualize your favorite memory ever
yeah.
from when you were a little kid. first season, second season, third season. Maybe it's when you scored a game-winning goal and then you got to go eat oranges with your friends
There you
and
go.
then you got ice cream
Snacks.
afterwards. All of it, man, because in the kids' minds, it's like nostalgia, right? Oh, I remember how excited that made me feel. That's why we do this. And if you can tie positive energy and positive emotions to the game, uh, then you're going to buy into the process a lot more because it's something you love. If you don't have those memories and you're like, man, I remember my dad drove me every single time and I was always scared to miss the goal. And every time I missed the goal, I got this and this and this. Guided imagery doesn't work for you because you don't have any positive memories tied to what you're doing. And guys like me, guys like you, like I was a pretty good wrestler. I wasn't great. My dad was the best, man. So like I love the sport more than I ever have in my entire life because of the positive memories that I had growing up. On the contrary, I know a lot of people who are like never going back to that sport because of the negativity that I was dealing with. So I just wanted to put that in there because I think that's really important what Coach Dwayne said there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's a big part of it. And again, it has to be fun. It has to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan, I appreciate this so much. This will not be the only time we have you on the podcast because I think we can do an entire series of just
Yep.
let's just pick
He's
one
ready.
topic.
He's ready for part 2 already.
I'm
Yeah,
ready
yeah,
for part two right
Yeah,
now.
let's find a topic. Let's just we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. When Dan comes back on, I'm gonna have a bucket, and in that bucket, I'm just gonna put a bunch of like pieces of paper with just like one word on them.
Yep.
And we're just gonna pull one out and then see where the conversation goes.
Let's go. I can do it all day. I can do it all day.
Dan, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you guys. Keep doing the good work.
Thank you.